Hey guys, it's Maria Park, and this is Approach the Nerd. And in this episode, we are reviewing Kung Fu Season 2, Episodes 2 and 3. Better late than never, I go. Especially since a new episode is coming on tonight, so I wanted to make sure I got this up before then. So Season 2 picks up as Part 2 of the season premiere. So basically, we've already discovered that the Shens have a cousin. And her name is Mia, and she is basically Mei Lin's sister's daughter that no one knew about. So they brought her home at the end of the last episode, and so we kind of pick up where, Nikki is still trying to figure out what's going on with Russell Tang, because Russell Tang is making business moves around San Francisco. He's buying up all kinds of property. They don't know why, so they're trying to figure out why he's investing in all of this real estate in San Francisco, which kind of tracks. I mean, yeah, he's a businessman and he wants to have this huge conglomerate, and he's like the Asian kingpin. And I feel like being in Malaysia and then doing all of his international dealings through, kind of like shell companies kind of tracks. I mean, this is probably something that happens in real life. So just, I like how they're dealing with how powerful this Russell Tang's, his reach, I guess, is in this universe. But so Evan's trying to find a connection to him, trying to figure out why he's doing all this stuff. And Nikki's kind of on standby with Henry because what can they really do right now until they have more information? Evan finds out some more information about Sasha. Now, Sasha was the assassin hired to kidnap Mia in the last episode, and Nikki wants to protect her. She also wants to know why he is after her, because she also has warrior blood like her cousin, but for some reason Russell really wants Mia. So it's kind of like, we need to protect Mia, we also need to figure out what Russell is doing, and also we need to stop him. So Evan finds this connection between Sasha and this warehouse at the docks. And so Nikki goes to investigate. Of course, it's Tony Kang's, where he's hiding at. It's his hideout, basically. And Tony Kang was the big bad boss that was bullying her dad and was bullying a lot of people in Chinatown in San Francisco last season. So he was the big honcho that was extorting money from, hardworking people for their businesses. So she kicked his ass. So that's basically what happened. Well, now he's just kind of hiding out. I mean, he still does little small time stuff, but since Russell's taken over everything, he doesn't really have a lot to do. He doesn't want to be in the crossfires for Russell Tang, and I guess he knows self-preservation is a skill that he should probably, adhere to. So when Nikki comes to him, she's like, hey, what if I took Russell down and you got your turf back? Which is kind of stupid, because if you really think about it, it's not like she's going to let this guy do what he did, because she's already considered herself to be a kung fu vigilante, running around beating up bad people. So she's going to do the same thing with him. She's just trading down for a lesser villain, I guess, or bad guy, should I put. So it's a thing. So while she's off dealing with him, making her dealings, and, he's giving her tips on, what Russell's up to, we have a lot of people that are dealing with personal issues. So first we have Ryan. Ryan has basically, he's graduated from medical school. He's getting ready to start his residency, and he basically wanted to do it. I think it's at USF, University of San Francisco. But he also, I think, because of what's happening with Mia, what's happening with Nikki and all the adventures she's been on, and how he's never even left. This is the beginning of his not really feeling like what he's doing matters, even though he's a doctor, which makes no sense. You can tell that Ryan's bored. There's also a little flirtatious thing going on between him and Sebastian, the new short order cook that is hired at Harmony Dumplings by his mother, which I am here for because I think they're very cute. But it's a slow burn, which I like. They don't immediately just look at each other as like heavens, angels flying out of their eyes. So it is a slow burn, but I love how Sebastian, being the cook, and then of course Ryan being the owner's son and then also a doctor, he's not intimidated by that. Sebastian's kind of and we don't really know Sebastian's past. Like I said, everybody has a past, especially on a CW show. So I feel like there's something that we're going to learn about Sebastian later. Maybe he's hiding out, maybe he's ex-military, maybe he was a mercenary, maybe he was something else outside of being a cook or a chef. But I feel like there's a lot more to Sebastian than meets the eye, and I'm here for it. So I'm really excited to see this storyline. But the whole thing with Ryan covering for Nikki at the restaurant and, you know, not knowing how to cut things correctly and cutting his finger, and he's a doctor, and it's really, really funny. I thought that was really, really cute. Okay, so while Nikki is off following Evan's leads, Mia is being babysat by Henry at the community center. She's not really involved in anything that's happening. Like, I think they were doing, like, it's Lunar New Year, so they're doing like this dance. He's prepping the kids to do this dance because, like, there's a lot of entertainment on the streets, and she's not paying attention. She doesn't care. She's just looking through all of the research that she previously stole and gave back. And so Henry starts helping her. Now, earlier on, I believe it was earlier on, she was listening to tapes that her mother left, and, you know, some of the things sounded coded, and Nikki asked her if she could figure out what it is, and of course Mia's like, I don't know what to tell you. I didn't even know anything about this warrior blood or any of this stuff until, like, right now, you know. And she goes to sleep in Nikki's room, which I don't understand, because, like, this is just me, though. Don't they have a 3-bedroom house? Or, I mean, they have 3 kids. Do you mean to tell me that both Althea and Nikki shared a room growing up? Because it seems like they would have had their own rooms. I mean, there doesn't even seem to be, like, in Nikki's room, there's only one bed and there's a window seat. So, like, I wouldn't even know where the other bed would be unless it was, like, I don't know, a bunk bed situation. I don't know. I'm just curious. Like, why did Nikki have to sleep on the couch and give her bed? So that's just something that I was confused about. But on top of that, so Mia finds her mother's jacket because she was looking through Nikki's closet because, you know, nosy, and found her mother's jacket. And so when Nikki comes in to bring her, like, I guess towels and stuff or whatever you do when you're letting people stay in your room, she's like, oh, that was your mother's and you can have it. Well, she takes it, and then Mia finds a picture of her mother when she was young and some guy she's never met before, which turns out she pretty much believes is her father. Well, when Henry's babysitting her at the community center and they're talking and he looks at the picture, she's like, wait, this is really unheard of. It's like unorthodox. And, like, you literally are half warrior and half guardian. So you have both bloodlines, and that's why he put 2 and 2 together, that Russell Tan wants her because she's unique, so he needs her for something. So yeah, her dad more than likely was a guardian, and her mother was a warrior, and they don't normally hook up, basically, is what the gist of that is. And so that inspires Mia to want to find him. So I already knew she was going to leave just from that conversation that she was having with him. Like, the only reason she even opened up to him a little bit is she realized that he knew how to pick locks like her. So, you know, looking at all the pictures and stuff at the Shen house, she felt a little out of place because they all grew up together. They were a traditional family, and she was raised pretty much isolated away from everybody by her mother until she ran away. So it kind of makes sense that she's not this is my family, you know? So it's a thing. Now, I said everybody's going through some stuff. So Althea is still at her job, which is like the poor man's Google, and she's not happy. She is not happy. She's, like, wanting to do actual constructive work, and her boss is just like, nah, man, we're about to sell. Nobody cares about this. Silicon Valley, live, love, and live free. Play with foosball or whatever. And so, you know, Althea is frustrated. Not to mention, Nikki keeps coming to her job and having her look stuff up, which, I'm going to say it, there's a lot of things about this episode I was nitpicking about. The first thing that I had to nitpick about was this. Althea is brilliant. She is a hacker. Why in the hell are you hacking on a work computer? It doesn't make any sense. I don't care how many firewalls and VPNs you can go through. I don't agree with you doing that on your work computer, because that's just going to leave you liable to the company when you get arrested. So I thought that was really interesting that she didn't have her own personal computer with her that she could play around with. And then, of course, her boss is like, why are you working on side projects during company time? Even though technically they're not working on anything. So it's a really hypocritical situation. And her boss is just so, like, live free. It's like everybody in the office is a hippie and all of them have no drive. And it actually leads to Althea quitting, because Althea is, like, to the point now where she's like, you know what? I actually want to do something. I want to make something to change the world. And she's, like, trying to get her fellow engineers, like, pumped up. And they're like, nah, we just want to do this. She's like, all right, I'm out. So she does. She leaves. And she ends up quitting her job, which is interesting, which I felt bad about, because she had just said in the previous episode that she couldn't get a job because she's been out of the workforce for so long, and probably also because of what happened with the NDA thing and all that, with her being sexually assaulted by her previous boss, which again, we have not heard of. Like, we haven't heard an update on this case. Like, I'm hoping that this is something that we readdress this season, because I mean, that was a big part of her story, and they can't just drop it like that. That is really weird. So I just thought that was really interesting, but all in all, she quit her job. All right, so basically, long story short, they find out that Russell Tan is trying to get something that's buried under this one building, and that he was going aggressively and trying to buy this last property and couldn't get it. So he pulled his bid that morning, Lunar New Year's. And when he did that, it kind of red flagged. Now, Thea kind of helped hack in and find out this information. And, when they really put two and two together, they realized he wants something that's there. And that he's going to use bombs to get it out. So Nikki basically goes down to pretty much figure out what it is. She gets caught in this bomb. Like, I already knew she was not going to be able to defuse a bomb, but I'm guessing whatever happened last season, she's developed some kind of supernatural protection, because the bomb went off and she was a little hurt. She hurt her arm, but she didn't die. So there's something protecting her. So she still has her, I'm going to call it warrior juju powers. She still has whatever it is in her. So there's that. Which, is a thing. The other stuff that we're seeing that are happening in the series, one is with Jin, her dad. One of his friends, his place of work is whatever store type situation he owns is struggling, and of course Harmony Dumplings is not. They're actually doing so well. They're selling out. They're overbooking. They can't keep up with all the orders, and the news has come down to interview them on Lunar New Year's and spotlight their business. So they're doing great. And Jin's friend is not, and it seems like somebody he's known for a very long time. So you can kind of see on his face that he wants to help him, and that's something that's going to play into episode 3, which we'll talk about in a second. So there's that. We have Lady Z, of course, talking to her sister, but we already knew that was her having a moment with her sister to recollect and reflect on all the bad stuff she's done. Is what it is, I guess. I mean, I'm not really. It's Lady Z. I don't really know what else to say about that. She did what she needed to do. She's no longer in jail, and now she's heading off to kill Russell Tan. That's literally all you need to know about that. But I will say the whole thing with the 3 women that were bullying her in jail, when they actually saw her take out those people that were coming to assassinate her like that, the looks on their face were like, we were picking on her? Oh shit. And of course they ended up dying in the prison breakout. So Lady Z is coming to deal with Russell. And that brings me to one of the biggest point plots in this, and that is that Kerwin is alive, which we knew he was alive. And now at this point, he's like working out with weights. He's walking and talking. Now, I have to say something about this. So we are introduced to Juliet, who is his sister. And apparently we learn in this episode, the whole time Kerwin was on the impression that the father had wanted to save him and had a plan for him. But it was actually, at the end of the episode, we actually realized his sister saved him. Now, whether she did this because she generally cares about him or because the father has made them super competitive and she wants him around so she can better him or best him, I don't know. But she's the one that was convincing the father to save him. And she was also trying to get Kerwin to shut up and not piss the dad off, because Juliet is pretty much the father's right ear and right hand. And Kerwin is nowhere on that radar. And so he trusts Russell trusts Juliet almost explicitly. I mean, I don't know if he really truly trusts everybody, but obviously he tells her things. Like, he told her what his agenda was on the artifact that he's getting from that building, which he does get. But Kerwin is kind of left in the dark. Kerwin is still very much into Lady Z, but very betrayed because she's cut his throat. That'll do it. But this is my problem with this. I have a couple of questions, actually. Number one, I thought there were more siblings. I know they had an older brother that they said was dead, but I didn't know. And I may be just overthinking it, but I thought in season 1, Kerwin implied he had a lot of siblings, and they all went by numbers. I could be crazy, but I could have swore that was a conversation. I guess I have to go find it and watch my own reviews from last season, but I thought that was a thing. But why does Kerwin have an English or British accent? But Russell and Juliet do not, and all of them were raised together in Malaysia. I'm just very curious on how that works. I think they're in Malaysia. They're in Malaysia or Singapore. I can't remember. But either still, even if you have European influence, why is Kerwin British and the other two are not? I always find that insane. And whenever they cast somebody who's British, it's like saying either Kerwin cannot do a North American or at least another neutral accent that is not British, or maybe the other two can't do a British accent. I don't really know. But it's just very weird that Kerwin has a British accent and the rest of them do not. I'm just putting it out there. I got to nitpick stuff. Another nitpick that I have for this episode is, at some point during the episode, everything's going great at Harmony Dumpling, so the mother decides that they should go check out the entertainment outside on the streets. And of course, Ryan's like, well, we never do that. And she's like, well, we're going to do it this year. And so the father's like, yeah, let's go. So all three of them leave. My problem with that is, who's minding the cash register? Like, who's going to ring all these people out for their meals if the dad, the mother, and Ryan are all leaving? Because we have the cooks in the back. We have the wait staff. I think we have a few wait staff, but I mean, who's going to check them out? Because when Jin left, he left the cash register unprotected. So I was very confused on exactly what that meant. I'm just putting it out there. I'm just really confused on that because that makes very little sense to me. So yeah, these little nitpicks that I have for episode 2. But by the end of the episode, Nikki tries to stop Mia from leaving because Mia's decided she's going to go on the run. She wants to find her dad. Now, Nikki doesn't know this. Henry knows this. And Nikki tries to stop her, but of course, Mia plays dirty and they fight a little bit and she grabs and squeezes her or hurts her really hurt arm and gets away. So Mia's in the wind. They don't know where she is. Russell Tan got the artifact that he was after. So nothing really went right on their Lunar New Year, which is pretty sad. But yeah, that was episode 2 in a nutshell. So then we roll into episode 3. Nikki is very, 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 very upset. They do know that he found a bell that Ricky Tan wants to use and needs Mia for. Now, what we know is it pretty much emits this certain sound that I think can transfer the power from a warrior probably to somebody else, which I think Russell Tan is building up Juliet to be a warrior that he wants somebody he can control with the power. If he can't take on the power himself, he wants to be able to control the person that is, and he knows that's not going to happen with Nikki or anybody else. And I don't know what role Mia would play in that, but he needs her for that bell as a sacrifice. We do know that. So basically they're trying to figure out they're trying to figure out what's going on. So, the first thing in this episode I'm just going to talk about is Jin. So Jin goes and finds his friend, and his friend's name is Frank. And apparently he owns this art facility called The Collective, and he's had to rent half of it out to this spin cycling, kind of yoga type exercise place because he's not doing well. His business is failing and he pretty much feels like he's going out of business. He's tired of doing it by himself. So in this episode is literally Jin's journey we learned that Jin was an artist, that he gave up being an artist when he got the loan with Maylin to open Harmony Dumplings and they had started their family. So he put his family above his dream and passion because apparently Jin was a very talented artist. And so in midlife crisis form and also wanting to help out his friend, long story short, Jin has decided that he's going to leave Harmony Dumpling for his wife to run while he goes off and helps Frank with The Collective and, basically run the art place. And there's also mention of them doing a mural for a school they never got to finish too because of the Harmony Dumpling loan coming through and them starting their own business. So, but I feel bad for Mei Li because Mei Li is going to be running everything by herself. I'm not saying that she can't do it. That's just a lot of stress. And she's even crying. She's like, I'm going to miss you because you're basically not going to be around. You're going to be working over there. I mean, I don't know what kind of strain this is going to put on their marriage, but at the same time, I do think that Jin needs to also do things that make him happy because I feel like the restaurant was Mei Li's dream, not his, and he gave up his dream for her. So I can kind of see it both ways. We also play heavily into what's going on with Althea and what's going on with Ryan. So with Althea's been getting a lot of job offers from all over Silicon Valley because somebody at her previous job where she just did her rant about wanting to change the world went viral when someone recorded it and uploaded it. And so all of these tech companies are calling to offer her a job. And she's feeling kind of, frustrated. She's like, I don't really know what to do because she's getting all these job offers. At first she's happy about it, and she makes a flow chart, with pros and cons. And now she's kind of like, none of this is really appealing to me. And by the end of the episode, we realize the reason is she wants to be her own boss. She wants to start her own company. And I'm like, you know what? Why not? Your husband's rich. More power to you. It's not like you're hurting for money, So, if anybody's in a position to start a business, it's going to be her. So I was very intrigued to see how she was going to pull that off. And I know that's probably going to carry on more into tonight's episode. So, yes, not a big chunk for her. Yes, she helps out, of course, hacking and getting information for them in this episode, but it's more like that was her role. Ryan played a bigger role, though. Ryan, again, he's in his feelings, Sebastian, was basically congratulating him. Ryan went to the restaurant to tell his parents about, him getting the residency at USF, and they're not there. And he talks to Sebastian, and he doesn't. And Sebastian's like, "Hey, congratulations!" And he's like, "Thanks." He's like, "You don't look happy about it." He's like, "Of course, it's basically everything I wanted, but it's not." Ryan has had a taste of the adventure life through Nikki, and so he wants more. And he gets his wish, because in this episode, it is revealed that it is a bell, so they know at the bell. And the person that actually gives them this information is Kerwin, because they find out through an interview on television that Kerwin is alive. And so they track him down at his hotel while he's out swimming, which means he doesn't travel with bodyguards, because and obviously Russell Tan didn't have anybody watching him, which is it's very odd to me, considering how paranoid his dad seems to be and always having eyes and ears everywhere. It's weird that he would not have anybody watching his son while he's out, but I digress. But yeah, Henry and Nikki are able to approach him and tell him, about Lady Z. And Kerwin thinks that Lady Z is dead because his sister made a remark in episode 2, which I forgot to mention, saying that, of course, the father and her had sent, assassins to kill her. And so he's thinking that Lady Z is dead. So he wants revenge against his dad. So he teams up with them. He actually tells them about the layout of, where everything is, how to get in. And he even knows that his dad and his sister are going to be going to some kind of charity event or some kind of a gala or whatever they're going to. And that the bell was being, basically restored. And it was going to be done that evening and then moved to one of his dad's, impenetrable facilities that he wouldn't even know how to get to. So they have to move tonight. And so Ryan actually comes up with an idea, because they don't know, they can't pick it up, they can't blow it up. Like, what do we do? And then he comes up with the idea of melting it down with chemicals. And then he tries to explain it to Nikki, and he even writes it down a little bit, and she still gets the order wrong. He's like, this is very volatile chemicals, And so they convince Ryan to go with them. So they do. They get there, and Russell Tan and Juliet are not leaving. They decided to stay in, because for plot purposes, this is what has to happen. But Kerwin's able to, he goes and sneaks into Russell's, room and gets on the computer. And of course, Juliet comes in and is like, what are you doing? And before she can look at the computer, he's like, your dad's right hand, I've been unconscious and I just want 5 minutes. Give me a chance to be, at least be on equal playing field with you. Again, I don't know if Juliet loves him like a brother and is protective of him, or if it's basically build up your, enemy. Kind of like if you watch the Arrowverse Flash, how Reverse Flash built up Barry Flash for his, Barry Allen's version of the Flash for his own agenda. I don't know if Juliet's doing this with Kerwin or not, but she has been covering for him and protecting him against the dad. So she gives him 5 minutes, and he's able to control all of the locks on the doors and the alarms and stuff. But what ends up happening is when they go in, one of the guys that was restoring, the bell is there, and he basically trips the alarm, and then he also knocks down some tools, and one of them cuts his arm pretty bad and severs an artery. So Ryan, being a doctor, has to come and bandage him and press it down until he can get help. And Nikki and Henry are the ones continuing to melt down the bell, which they are able to do. And the guy who they've been, helping, the one that was fighting them, which I get, if I was restoring a bell and somebody came in to steal it or do some shit, I'd probably be like, what the hell, too, because he doesn't know what's going on in the show. But at the end of it, he does help them escape. He tells them that there's another way out, so they are able to get out. But Kerwin was upset because he's like, you need to get out of there now. I can't be linked to this. And of course Nikki and them are ignoring him. But they end up getting out because of this guy. Now, we'll say this, something interesting for a villain. our bad guy. It's interesting that the art curator that was restoring, not curator, the restoration guy that was restoring the bell was taken to the hospital. I would have thought that Russell would have been like, well, you know about this, you know what happened, you're no use to me, take him out there and kill him. But no, he ends up in the hospital because Ryan later on says he called and checked and he's doing fine. And I'm like, so Russell's a bad guy and has no problem with killing people, but he let the one guy that was restoring the bell that nobody should know about live, and even let him go to the hospital to be treated. That was really weird. So I don't really know what to say about that. I don't understand Russell's character at all. But Juliet said that she had the bell analyzed. She has all these schematics, and she's planning on building an instrument that emits the same exact tone that Russell needs to accomplish his goal. So Mia's still not out of danger. They're still going to try and recreate the sound that the bell would have made. Russell's plan is not damaged. For a moment, he did think it was. He was angry. His face was pissed. But Juliet kind of said, trust me, I got you. But now they know that Kerwin is not a part of it. It doesn't help that Lady Z shows up to try and kill Russell and ends up sparring with him, and then they have like a tiny mini heart-to-heart, and then Kerwin puts it in Lady Z's mind, don't kill my dad. If you want to hurt my dad, kill something that he loves. And then he shows a picture of Mia. And you know what would be really interesting to me? I'm just going to throw it out there. What if Russell Tan was a guardian and was her dad? Not pay out, probably will be absolutely stupid, but it would be interesting that if we're thinking he just wants her as a sacrifice, but really he wants her because that's his kid. So I don't know, that could be a thing, because we do know that the aunt did have run-ins with Russell Tan to begin with. They've had something happen between them. We just don't know everything from Magel's point of view. So I don't know what happened, but it would be interesting if we find out that was her biological father, and that's another reason why Mia was kept in hiding. Not just because of her half warrior, half guardian blood, but because Russell Tan is her father. That would be interesting. So, I don't know. But, yeah, Lady Z now is going to try and kill Mia. She's going after Mia. So, Nikki and Henry are trying to find, Nikki and her Scooby-Doo gang are trying to find, Mia. And now Lady Z is trying to find Mia, and I have no idea what Kerwin's doing. We see him get into a red sports car and he's just driving away. So we have no idea what is going to happen with that, but again, I'm here for it. The only other thing is we had another flirtatious moment between Sebastian and Ryan at the bar. So like I said, I already know they're going to be a thing. And then also Henry gets a text message from his dad, which he's supposed to be an orphan. So I don't know what kind of relationship this is. I don't know why he has his dad set in his phone. I don't know. Question marks. I got a lot of question marks is basically what I'm saying. But not a bad episode. All in all, I really, really enjoyed it. I'm looking forward to episode 4. This season is going by a little bit faster than season 1 did. There's a lot more action, probably because we've established more, the players at this point. So I am curious to see what's gonna happen now. But I also like the fact that we're not just dealing with Nikki's struggle with Russell Tan and what his plans are, but we're also seeing other characters dealing with their own stuff. The only thing I'm gonna say, and I'm gonna keep saying it, is I don't appreciate the fact that Althea's #MeToo storyline is just gone. It's like no reference whatsoever. I really don't understand why. So I think that's something they need to work on. But outside of that, yeah, very good episode. But that is my opinion. I want to know what you think, so please leave me a comment below and let me know. And if you would like to sign up for Jury Duty, hit the subscribe button. If you like news next in their bell, hit the notification bell. Until next time, I can't wait for you to approach the nerd. Bye, guys.
Thank you for watching my video. I really appreciate it, but hey, the party doesn't have to stop now. Click on one of these videos and keep it going.